What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. So by now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that a ton of people have mixed opinions on how they feel about these games. There's people that are very excited for them, there's people who are unsure about how to feel, and then there's also people that are downright disappointed with a lot of the direction that they've taken with these games. Now I did make a video recently talking about all of the issues and problems that are with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and if you guys haven't seen that video, I definitely recommend you to go and check it out before you watch this one, as that video I really go into detail about everything that's wrong with the game. I'm kind of going to give a little refresher or overview at the start of this video, but if you really want to know everything, then I recommend you go and watch that video. There should be a little eye up in the corner right now, so you can go ahead and tap on that or click on that if you want to go and watch it, but I'll also have it linked in the outro so you can go and watch it from there as well. And so in this video, I thought it would be nice to talk about how Game Freak could fix some of these issues with some of the solutions that I'm going to offer and how they can improve Pokemon games going from here on out. Now like I said, I am going to give a small refresher right before we get started so that you can kind of have an idea about the issues with these games. Now the thing with the problems about Pokemon Sword and Shield is that literally every single thing that people don't like about these games can be put into two main big groups of people. Now the first big group of people that have issues with Pokemon Sword and Shield are the National Dexers. And so this group just consists of people that are really disappointed at the fact that Mr. Masuda announced at E3 this year that every single Pokemon is in fact not going to be inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that you're not going to have a national dex, and every single Pokemon ever created is not going to be possible to have inside of these games. There's only going to be a limited number of Pokemon. And then the second group consists of the people that aren't really happy with the direction that Game Freak took for these games. They don't really like how the games look overall, they're not a fan of like the animations and the art style, and just overall how Pokemon Sword and Shield are like. Now the one thing that I hope a lot of you guys noticed is that the number of people that were displeased with Pokemon Sword and Shield went up exponentially after the announcement of no national Pokédex. And the reasoning for this is that these two issues are actually connected. The reason that so many people started pointing out about the animations and the models and a lot of the direction that Game Freak is taking and the art style with Pokemon Sword and Shield is because the reasoning that they gave for no national Pokédex inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield was that they had to do so many high quality animations, and they took a lot of effort for that, and because of that reason they weren't able to include every single Pokemon in these games. And so it was really after that when people started getting frustrated and posting pictures about animations and the models and everything, and saying like, if Game Freak's taking so much effort to put those, then how come we still have games that look like this, and how come the models are the same from the 3DS? And that's really when all of this started. Now even if you guys didn't notice this, I know I definitely did, but when Pokemon Sword and Shield were revealed for the very first time back in February of this year, and before we knew about no national Pokédex in these games, there were still people that were upset and displeased at how the games were like. I know I did see it on Twitter a lot. There were people tweeting saying, I expected these games to look a little bit better. There were expectations that I had that I don't think quite got met with Pokemon Sword and Shield's reveal, but like the group of people that we had that were like this was very small compared to what we have now. And if you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I definitely tweeted a lot about my disappointment with Pokemon Sword and Shield and just things that I'm not really a fan of with the games. Now a lot of people do seem to think that I'm not excited for these games at all, which isn't the case. There's definitely things that I am a fan of with Pokemon Sword and Shield and that I am really happy with, and I think I'm probably going to make a video like this in the future where we take a look at what is good about Pokemon Sword and Shield as well as what could be improved, because I think that some people just feel like I don't like the games at all, which just isn't true. I'm still going to be buying the games. There are things that I am excited for and things that I think that they do really well. But it was really after the announcement of no national Pokédex, and after when people started pointing out a lot of the other issues with Pokemon Sword and Shield, when I also started to realize that yeah, Pokemon Sword and Shield definitely do have a lot of things that could have been done better, and I also started to express my concerns for that on Twitter by posting like memes and things that I'm just not a fan of, because at the end of the day here, I'm a big Pokemon fan, and I don't want to see my favorite franchise go to something that I don't want to be a fan of, and the way that some things are shaping up to be like, it kind of seems like it is at that point, and I don't want to see that happen, and that's why I'm expressing my thoughts like that, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like these are the best Pokemon games that we've ever gotten and that there's nothing wrong with them and that everything is totally fine, because that's just not true. And so now that we've talked about the two major problems with Pokemon Sword and Shield, let's talk about the solutions for them and how Game Freak could fix them and just improve Pokemon games in general from here on out. Now the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is a potential solution that everybody always mentions, and unfortunately it's just not possible, and while technically it is possible, it just wouldn't make the most sense, and that solution is just delaying the games. Now technically, Pokemon Sword and Shield could be delayed. The Pokemon Company actually has so much money that they could probably not release anything for the next 3 years and probably be able to survive with no problem. But the reason that they can't delay Pokemon Sword and Shield is because it just wouldn't make the most sense coming from a business perspective. Now I'm going to try to help you guys understand this so you can kind of see why the games can't be delayed. The Pokemon Company makes a ridiculous amount of money, more money than you and I could imagine, and a lot of the money does come from video games. In fact, they make around $17 billion just from the video games alone. So now you're probably thinking, well, $17 billion, that's a lot of money. But the thing is, that money isn't even close to the amount of money that they make selling merchandise as well as just other things that are a part of the Pokemon franchise. And so if we take a look at this breakdown here, you can see that they make almost quadruple the amount of money from video games just from the Pokemon merchandise. They make around $64 billion just from Pokemon merchandise. They make around $11 billion from the Pokemon card game. They make around $2 billion from box office with all the movies. They make around $1 billion with the manga, and they make around $863 million with just like the anime and all the other home entertainment that they come out with. And the thing is, a brand new Pokemon video game launch, especially the start of a brand new generation like with what Pokemon Sword and Shield is really what starts all of these other things. Like once Pokemon Sword and Shield come out, that's when they're going to be able to make a whole bunch of other merchandise. They're going to make so many plushies of Scorbunny and Sobble and Grookey. They're going to make like notebooks of these Gen 8 Pokemon. They're going to make pencils, toys, a whole bunch of this stuff that they're going to sell. They're going to start so many Pokemon cards for all these new Pokemon and sell a whole bunch of trading cards. They're going to make new movies and sell that in the box office. There's going to be new manga for the Gen 8 stuff. There's going to be new anime and a whole new anime season. So you see, a brand new Pokemon game or the start of a new generation is what gets them the money from all these other things, which make way more than the video games alone. So that's why they can't really delay the games, because if they delay that, then they're missing out on so much other money that they make from just all these other things. And so let's just say that delaying the game can't happen. What other things could they do to solve these issues? Let's talk about some of these solutions. Now, in terms of the lack of no national Pokédex, the thing that I wish Game Freak could understand is that updating games is now possible. After the new Generation 8 Pokemon, we're probably going to have like a total of 900 plus Pokemon, and so I definitely understand that it's really hard for Game Freak to have all 900 of those Pokemon available in the game on launch day. I totally get that, but I also wish that they would understand that there's no reason that these Pokemon that are missing from the game on launch day can't be added into the game over time later on. Literally the best part about buying games nowadays is that when you buy a game, there's always the possibility that more could be added onto it later. See, years ago when you bought your Pokemon Emerald or your Twilight Princess or your Super Mario Sunshine, what you got on launch day was the final game. That was it, there was nothing else, that was the game that you got. But now we live in an age where even after you're done playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can add more quests. We live in an age where you can play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 69 amazing characters, but even add 5 more. We live in an age where even after you're done playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you can have an entirely new prequel-based story that takes place 500 years ago, adds even more depth and lore to all the characters, and is a completely all-new game. The thing is, updating games is now possible, and there's really no reason that Game Freak couldn't be able to update these games and add in missing Pokemon that we don't have. And so that's really the solution for this no national Pokédex issue. The thing that Game Freak just needs to understand is that they can do updates where they can have like every few months release an update and say like, okay, here are the missing Kanto Pokemon that aren't in Sword and Shield, now you can have them and you can use them. Here are the missing Johto Pokemon a few months later. They can just do this and eventually we can have all of the Pokemon, because like I said, I understand that you can't have all the Pokemon available on launch day, and even Pokemon X and Y did this. Pokemon X and Y, you weren't able to have every single Pokemon in those games on launch day. You had to wait until the update came out for Pokemon Bank, and that's what allowed you to be able to bring over like Giratina and some of your other favorite Pokemon. And that's really the same thing that they should do here. Like at that point, you could even delay Pokemon Home and just wait till they have all the models and everything is ready for the missing Pokemon, and then release it all together. Now the next group includes the people that aren't happy with the animations, the art style, and just overall how Pokemon Sword and Shield look. Now unfortunately, the sad thing with Pokemon Sword and Shield is that it's probably at a point now where it's too late in development to really make any major changes to like the animations or the models or like how the art style in the games look, because the game's pretty much already done at this point. They're probably just working on like fixing the glitches and things like that. They really can't change and begin everything all over from scratch again. However, I do want to talk about how they could potentially fix these issues and make future Pokemon games better. Now because Pokemon Sword and Shield are now on a console, they are allowed to be compared to other console level games, not in terms of how the game is or how good it is, but in terms of the overall look and polish of the games. And so if we compare Pokemon Sword and Shield to other RPGs or just other big games on the Nintendo Switch, like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Super Mario Odyssey, even Dragon Quest, we can see that Pokemon Sword and Shield just doesn't fit all that well compared to these other games. Like, you can definitely tell that like some of these games are console level games, but then Pokemon Sword and Shield just doesn't feel like it belongs there. I know you guys can definitely understand what I'm trying to say here. Some people don't seem to get this. Some people say like it looks totally fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but if you guys understand what I'm trying to say here, then props to you. But like, some people just won't understand this no matter how many times I point it out. But you can see like all these other console level games, Pokemon Sword and Shield just doesn't fit there. Now, there is a reason for this, and it makes a ton of sense, and the reason is that Game Freak has been developing handheld games for the past 20 years. Game Freak has only been developing handheld games. They started out on the Game Boy, moved to the Game Boy Advance, then the Nintendo DS, and then the Nintendo 3DS. Now, every single time they did move to a new system, there were definitely new things that were unlocked that they were able to do, but the increase in power was just a small one, going from like a DS to the 3DS. But when you go from a Nintendo 3DS to the Nintendo Switch, that improvement in power is exponential. The Nintendo Switch is eons more technologically advanced than the Nintendo 3DS, but the reason that Pokemon games still look like this is because Game Freak is still used to developing handheld games, and they don't know how to properly develop for a console like this. And really, the solution here isn't even like a really crazy one or something that no one can think of. It's more just a life skill, and the skill is ask for help when you need it. With the way that Pokemon Sword and Shield look, it's pretty easy to tell that Game Freak isn't suited for developing console level games. But the thing is, there's so many developers and people out there that are ready to help them and that would have no problem in aiding Game Freak and making Pokemon games be the best that they could be on the Nintendo Switch. The thing that's also amazing about Pokemon is that Pokemon is the most powerful media franchise in the world, and because of that, Game Freak could literally go to any developer or any person and just ask and be like, can you please help us in developing the next new generation of Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch? And I guarantee you, any developer or any person would easily be ready and come right on board and help Game Freak. I'm telling you guys right now, literally any other console level developer will be instantly ready to chip in and help with making a brand new Pokemon game because they already know how powerful Pokemon is. They already know it's going to be played by millions of people all over the world, and getting a chance to work on a Pokemon game would be a dream come true for so many other developers, and they would be really easily willing to help you, but Game Freak just doesn't want to ask them. There's so many other like very talented teams out there, especially from like Monolith Soft, Retro Studios, Platinum Games. There's so many people that Game Freak could go and ask for, and I guarantee you all of them would be ready to help with Pokemon. I really doubt that they would say no to helping to make a brand new Pokemon generation on the Nintendo Switch. And that's really the solution for this. We understand that Game Freak has been making handheld games, and so they're not suited for making console games, but the thing that they could do is ask others for help that are suited with making console level games, and that would make these games so much better. I mean, there's so many other developers that do this. Literally, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, when it was being developed, they had to ask Monolith Soft for help in creating the environments and a lot of the other things, and look how that game turned out. It's a beautiful game, so many people love it, and that's why, because they knew that they were creating something that Zelda has never done before, and they needed help and they asked for it. And so like I said, Pokemon Sword and Shield is unfortunately at a point where it's too late in development to make the game look drastically different. They'd really have to like restart development and have to do a whole bunch of new things with a new art style. And so I can understand that it's not going to happen with these games, but I'm really hoping that Game Freak at least asks for help or tries to do something different with their upcoming future Pokemon games. Now, I tweeted about this on my Twitter as well. I said there's definitely stuff with Pokemon Sword and Shield that people are not satisfied with, such as the lack of national decks and the overall quality of the games. What do you think would be the best solution for everything? Reply to this tweet and you could be featured in my next video. Mystic here is saying, I think this. Oh, he put a picture of the Pokemon trainer inside of Uriah from Xenoblade 2. But a delay would probably be the most ideal. Who needs a yearly Pokemon game anyway? They could take as long as they want, especially if it'll make the games better. And I totally agree with you. I think like the thing that Game Freak needs to understand is that we don't want a Pokemon game every single year if it means that we're gonna get a better Pokemon game later. Like, I have no problem waiting even 3 years for an amazing Pokemon game if I'm promised one, but unfortunately some people just don't seem to be able to have the patience, and they're always asking like they need a new Pokemon game every year, and like that's why we keep getting games. Like, Game Freak really hasn't taken a break since like 2015, I think. Like, we got Pokemon Sun and Moon in 2016, Ultra Sun and Moon in 2017, Let's Go in 2018, and now Sword and Shield in 2019. They really just don't seem to take breaks or gap years anymore and just keep pumping out new games. Extremely Tired here is saying having a lot of other features such as the Battle Frontier and a way better after story than previous titles, essentially having a lot of features to look away from the negative parts of the game, and I totally agree with you in that. Like, if we're not going to have a national dex, at least give us the Battle Frontier, like the Pokemon World Tournament, or something that adds a lot of post-game value. And then you also said a solution could be adding the other Pokemon in updates, but I doubt that Game Freak will do that, and that's honestly the truth as well. Like, Game Freak should just acknowledge that updating games exist now, and they should just make free updates to give us the missing Pokemon. Kiki here is saying simply give an announcement saying that they're going to do patches for Pokemon to be added, and if needed for the graphics, then in the next games they should try to make an honest game and not rush it. And I totally agree with you in this as well. Like, we already said that the graphics are pretty much too late in development to change drastically with Sword and Shield, but at least for the Pokemon, update them and add them with patches, and then for the next Pokemon games try to ask for help or just do as best as they can to make the games not look how they look with Sword and Shield. And finally, Super Stomper is saying, I think that at this point there's really nothing that they could really do besides patching in the missing Pokemon later. Going forward, I think Game Freak should take more time between each game and produce a higher quality product, and I totally agree with you in that as well. We don't need to have a Pokemon game every year, but they should definitely take some more time or at least ask for more help to make the games as best as they can be. And so that's going to do it for all the Twitter responses. Thank you guys so much for all your replies, and remember, if you ever want to be featured in videos like this, then just go and follow me on Twitter at @Aero. And so there you go, guys. Those are the solutions for how to fix Pokemon Sword and Shield and at least improve their upcoming Pokemon games going forward. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to click that like button and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. What do you guys think that they could do to fix Pokemon Sword and Shield, and what are some of your future solutions for upcoming Pokemon games? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros, and so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.